During the late 1970s, the Netherlands were as crawling with jazz rock as any other part of Europe. One such band, however, emerged to pull the electrified sound a bit closer to the traditional post-bop free jazz framework. The quartet in question was Free Fair, and from their 1978 self-titled debut album, the track Happy Snake. Right now, we are primarily hearing the work of Dick Vennik, who plays tenor and soprano saxophone on this album, as well as flute and bass clarinet. And also a bit of percussive work from Eric Ineke. I like the call and response melody. It's like we've got all the the woodwinds going like doing those scaly bits up up and down, and then that piano doing that dun 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 dun. And it's like one comes after the other. It's and one the piano bit comes between each interjection of the woodwinds, and it's like, but together in sequence they complete a melody. They complete a theme that just wouldn't come full circle if one or the other was missing. I love that kind of dissonant tone that that he's taking on sax now. Yeah, Dick Vennik, who's pretty much emerged as the star of this combo, and 77 credits according to Discogs. Let's see. There's some played on various recordings during the 1970s, Dutch recordings. Oh, he played on the Napolis album in 1976. Yeah, great jazz Latin rock one-off. That's basically the most notable jazz rock cred outside this album. About time I introduced Rob van den Broek, who's doing quite a tasteful, classy job here on piano. Let's see, 103 credits according to Discogs, and born in 1940, passed away in 2012. Instruments and performances going back to 1969. Oh, he played on the 1972 Banton record. Yeah, good jazz rock album from that year. And he was in the Chris Hines combination. Yeah, put out some really strong jazz rock albums in the early 1970s on MPS. And he too was on the Napolis album. And also played, according to this, on the second Third Eye album, Connection. And so this guy has and a few. I wonder if he played on all the Third Eye records. So this guy has quite a lot of, no, just the second one onward. But this guy has quite a lot of great jazz rock credits to his name. Yeah, played on the Eve Albers Quartet Skyrider album that just came to my attention recently on YouTube, as a matter of fact. Yeah, played on Joe Farrell album in the 1980s. really sparkly, like light on water. I love those deep chords that they throw in every now and then to give the song more kind of urgency. Kind of a Latinized section here. Well, our guy Dick Vennik is really tearing things up right there, but it's about time I introduced the stand-up bassist here, Harry Emmery, who is getting quite some good moments here in this particular part of the track. And he has 79 credits according to Discogs, 73 instruments in performance. Going back to like 1970, kind of sporadic throughout the decade though. This seeming to be his only really notable like jazz or jazz rock release. So not much comment there. And getting to our drummer guy, Eric Ineke. He has 102 credits according to Discogs, 97 instrumentals. And yeah, basically the other two guys I introduced earlier were the ones that were a bit more prominent in the taking various stops on like the jazz rock scene throughout the decade. These other two, they seem to have a lot of Dutch pop credits to their name. Dutch MOR, easy listening type stuff. I'm not one to usually put the focus on the genre or try and pigeonhole a track, but I was really struck this time how this particular piece, while very much a post-bop track in terms of its arrangement, like the instrumentation involved and everything. I mean, there was no electric instrumentation on this. It was all like stand-up bass, piano, um, drums, and woodwinds. But the composition itself was very much structured like a jazz rock piece. I guess it was the way it was more the emphasis on like distinct riffs, like that dun 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 dun, and then going through several distinct like that Latinized section, like instead of like in a typical like post bop piece where you'll have that dropout like in the final third where the stand up bassist where it's nothing but the stand-up bassist gets his spotlight, and then they have that recapitulation toward the end. But this one was consistently dense, and it's like I was just basically hearing all these sections where you would expect maybe to hear like an electric guitar, a Fender Rhodes, but this band bringing kind of taking some of the lessons learned from jazz rock and reincorporating them into a traditional jazz framework. Much like I thought what Herbie Hancock was doing when he formed that VSOP project in the late 1970s, like after, I guess after the Headhunters period had kind of ran its initial course, and he was like trying to take some of the lessons he had learned from his involvement in rock and funk, and trying to use them to revitalize more traditional forms of jazz. Yeah. So that was a Free Fare with the track Happy Snake off their self-titled first of 3 albums. For more Rubies and Sapphires from, well, the first 2 Free Fare albums anyway, see the directory of albums by Dutch artists linked in the description below. For red hot tracks and tasty purples from this band, as well as similar bands from the Dutch scene, like Third Eye, Annapolis, heck, the projects that some of these guys were involved in. Yeah, as well as across the spectrum on the whole Belgium and Netherlands scene. Like and subscribe and follow me on social media, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about this track, its layers, the instrumentation, the complexity of it all. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear travel maximalist, signing off.